we have a new moon coming up. The new moon is at like 11 something p.m. here on the West Coast, tomorrow, Tuesday, the 23rd, and on the East Coast and on much of the rest of the world, the new moon is in the early morning hours of Wednesday, the 24th. Or, depending upon where you are, it's not the early morning hours anymore. But certainly on the East Coast, it's the early of the United States, it's the early morning hours. This is a particularly important new moon because it marks the beginning of Navaratri, the Hindu, a very important Hindu celebration that worships the Divine Mother, the goddess. It occurs twice a year at the beginning of autumn and at the beginning of spring. And the autumnal Navaratri is considered to be the most important, which is appropriate since the mother represents like that yin, nurturing, and in the Chinese iconography, the dark energy of, for example, fall and winter and that darker time of year. Navaratri begins with the lunar calendar, it begins the day after the new moon. So here in San Francisco, it officially begins on the 24th, and in much of the rest of the world, it begins on Thursday, the 25th. Nava means nine, Ratri means night. It's nine nights of celebration of the goddess. Some say that at Navaratri, and especially in the autumnal one, it's a very important time and a very emotional time, and a time to be careful, much as you would with the full moon, that energies run high, emotional energies run high, and that as such, it's important to carry yourself with care, and that if you don't, emotional energies can kind of run rampant, and you can find yourself dealing with emotional distress at the very least, and potentially accidents or difficult circumstances of that sort. But regardless, it's an important time to think about the Divine Mother, the goddess, and especially as we approach fall and winter, the importance of fallow times and of waiting, the process of nurturing and gestation that bring to birth. Not just the process of gestation of something that's already planted, a seed or a baby gestating in the womb. We all know the story of the farmer that goes out every night and digs up the seed and pulls on the sprout coming up, trying to make it grow faster, only to kill eventually the plant. That there's no pulling, something gestates in its own period of time. But also the not just the process of waiting for a seed to gestate, but sometimes the necessary process of waiting for the ground to be ready to accept the seed. And as frustrating as those times can be, approaching ourselves as if we were that loving mother who wanted truly only the best for us, who wanted us to experience a life full of joy and wisdom and benefit and wealth, really, calming us and nurturing us and comforting us and helping us to carefully look at what it is that perhaps blocks us or that needs to be endured or accomplished or just gone through before the ground is ready. And especially if there are blocks, emotional or otherwise, allowing us to carefully and lovingly look at those and perhaps dissolve the ones that are appropriate, and or accept the ones that are not appropriate to dissolve and may call for another course of action. If we can't be this loving mother, the loving, nurturing mother, we may find ourselves face to face with not so much the bad mother, but the fierce mother. Think of Kali with, the necklace of skulls and blood pouring out of her mouth. She chews on the humans. And, you may not have a choice. I don't mean to, be kind of Pollyanna about the degree of agency that each of us has in our lifetime. Like, oh, only if you think well, you must, if something bad happens to you, it means that that you somehow brought it on yourself by not like properly envisioning the good. That is not accurate. But sometimes we have to face that fierce mother. Even so, we have to. Sometimes there's difficult circumstances, and sometimes at the very least that will bring us closer to God. And at the best, there are aspects of our life that need to be removed, that get devoured by that Kali-like force. None of us like to go through it, but sometimes that happens. And if that's the Divine Mother in your life, right now, accepting that is also a good thing to do, and all the more so to be flexible and pliant, and to go with the fallowness of the period of time rather than fighting it, like the oak and getting knocked down in the wind. Regardless, during this time, it's important to connect to the positive, the Divine Mother as a positive force of life, the giver of life, and the very foundation upon which we live. There's an image that I think is really useful for all of us to connect to as we begin Navaratri, that will help us with that. But first, I'll just talk a little bit about this new moon, which is in Libra. It's actually a really lovely new moon with primarily positive aspects. And since it's in Libra and it makes favorable aspects, that's supportive of connection to other people, connection to loved ones, gracious communication and enjoyable social encounters, beauty, the arts, music, all that sort of pleasurable about life, and fairness as well. It is, so generally speaking, the aspects are quite positive. Nobody gets it positive all the time, so I'm sure some of you are suffering from the difficult aspects, which do exist as well, which would lead more towards perhaps a sense of confusion, some sort of push-pull, confusion about how to take action, the sense that you're always taking the wrong action or that you can't take action. That can lead to sort of anxiety or depression. There can be either being sort of overconfident and overzealous, or being, completely lethargic and unable to act. These are some of the difficult aspects that are there that everybody may feel to some extent, but for most people, the positive aspects outweigh them, and those, those are kind of like things that push you towards taking advantage of the positive aspects. But, depends upon the sign. If you're an Aries, Capricorn, Cancer, or Cancer of a particular degree, it's not going to be quite as favorable for you as it is for some of the others, as well as for some of the mutable signs, Virgo, Pisces, Gemini, and Sagittarius. You've got some ongoing issues. But, again, for the most part, it's positive. To go back to, and that's very nice as we begin Navaratri, to have these sort of lovely, social, really beautiful aspects. The image that I wanted to mention that I think is a really nice one to connect to as we begin Navaratri is an image that I've mentioned before. And it's one of the most beautiful images I know, and it's often associated with Bhakti Yoga, the yoga of devotion. The quality of this image is to think of yourself, think of yourself as a child, a young child, sitting on your mother's lap, loved, adored, truly beloved, as your father, your loving father, stands protective over the two of you, and your mother is telling you a bedtime story. So gifted a storyteller is she, and so wondrous the story that she weaves, that you forget who you are, and you become caught up in the web and the weft and the weave of the story that she's telling. You laugh, you identify completely with the hero, and you feel joyous when that hero feels joyous, and you weep or cry or feel anxious, depressed, concerned, worried, frightened, when each of these are the feelings that the hero experiences. So wrapped up are you in this story that it's not until the story ends that you realize that you were always safe and secure and loved. sitting in your mother's lap as she told you a bedtime story for your entertainment and for no other reason, because she loves you. May we all be able to connect to that sense of love and safety and security, the sense that regardless of what's happening, we're only sitting in our mother's lap as she tells us a story, and we forget who we really are. May that help you as you try to connect to the divine energy within yourself and your life in the next 9 days at least of Navaratri and in this new moon cycle. Have a great time, and I'll talk to you soon.